If you clicked on this video, you likely are currently taking or are about to take low-dose naltrexone and are wanting to know more about the medication. And my hope in this video is to help you understand this medication a little bit better, as well as share my personal experience taking it. But first, be sure to like and subscribe if you find this kind of video helpful and informative. Thank you. Disclaimer: I am not a medical professional and I'm simply sharing my experience with this medication as well as basic information from the internet. So, before you take any action regarding this medication, please consult your healthcare professional. In order to understand naltrexone, we should at least understand what it was originally intended to be used for. So let's start there. Naltrexone, sold under the brand name Revia, among others, is a medication primarily used to manage alcohol use or opioid use disorder by reducing cravings and feelings of euphoria associated with substance use disorder. It has also been found effective in the treatment of other addictions and may be used for them off-label. So as we can see, the original use for this medication is primarily to help deal with some form of substance abuse addiction where you're coming down from some form of high, in order to help reduce those withdrawal symptoms, as well as reducing the cravings for those substances. Now, before you start freaking out and wondering, wait, am I taking the wrong medication? Don't worry, there's more to it. Because there have also been studies conducted when naltrexone is taken at significantly lower doses, it's actually been proven effective in treating a plethora of conditions. Here are just a few examples: autoimmune disorders, chronic pain, fibromyalgia, Crohn's disease, chronic fatigue, that's me, and many more. And the more research that is done on this medication, it seems to prove itself more and more useful. But what does low-dose naltrexone actually do to the body? Low-dose naltrexone is used to treat various conditions, including chronic pain, autoimmune disorders, and some cancers, by modulating the immune system and reducing inflammation. It works by temporarily blocking opioid receptors, which leads to an increase in the body's natural production of endorphins, helping to alleviate pain and improve overall well-being. So there's lots of stuff happening behind the scenes with this little medication, and it makes it very easy to see why it's so beneficial to a myriad of conditions, primarily because it's so versatile. Like we just read, it helps boost the immune system, blocks the opioid receptors, and it helps reduce inflammation. And just so you know, that there are a lot of doctors and studies out there that seem to point to the fact that inflammation by itself could potentially be the cause, or at least a primary culprit, in a vast number of chronic illnesses. So anytime you can reduce inflammation in your body, that's a win. Now, obviously, I'm not a doctor, and so I'm not going to tell you what you should be doing with this. That is a conversation for you and your doctor. But there does seem to be a lot of promising information regarding this particular medication. But hey, do you have any experience taking low-dose naltrexone? Leave a comment down below. The whole point of this video is to help people understand the medication before they hop on board, or if they are currently taking it. So if you have experiences, good or bad, with this medication, leave them down below so other people can hear your thoughts as well. And if you have any questions, I will do my best to respond to you in a timely manner in regards to my personal experience with the medication. So in my personal experience with the medication, let's start with the side effects, because I feel like that's the first thing everyone looks at as soon as they are prescribed a new medication, is they want to know, what's going to happen to my body that's going to make me not feel good after taking this. So common side effects of low-dose naltrexone include fatigue, dizziness, headaches, and nausea. While these side effects are generally mild, it's important to monitor your health and consult a healthcare provider if you experience severe reactions. Now, these are just the common side effects, which personally I experienced none of these, which makes me wonder how common they are. However, I did experience side effects from this medication. It's just that when you are reading something on the internet, you're usually only getting a piece of the truth. So let me share the side effects that I experienced. For me, the only 3 real side effects that I could think of that I experienced with this medication were: number 1, insomnia; number 2, digestive issues; and then number 3, weight gain. So starting with insomnia, whenever I began naltrexone, and I say that because I have gotten on the medication twice, and I've gotten off of it once, and I'm currently still taking it. But when I began naltrexone, or raised the dose, I would experience insomnia for about a week. First few nights were pretty bad, pretty wide awake, just a big difficulty falling asleep, usually not falling asleep until 11, 12 p.m., which for me is fairly late. I'm usually in bed and asleep around 9:30 or 10. So I guess roughly to me, it seemed like it would take me about anywhere from an hour or two longer to fall asleep. And a bad night, maybe 3 hours longer. But this insomnia only seemed to really last for the first week or so after starting the medication or after raising the dose. So if your doctor has you tapering onto the dose, then you may have to go through this little insomnia period a few times. That's what I had to do. It wasn't the end of the world, and it didn't keep me awake all night. It just definitely made falling asleep much more difficult for probably the first week. But after that, once you get accustomed to the medication, at least in my experience, then my sleep went back to normal. The second symptom I want to talk about is digestive issues. Now, I almost didn't include this symptom because it was pretty minor for me, but I decided to share it anyways. So for me, anytime I raised the dose of naltrexone, I would usually have some kind of digestive issues, usually in the form of just an upset stomach and maybe some minor diarrhea, usually about 2 or 3 days after I raised the dose. It got to the point I could pretty much predict and pinpoint the day where I was going to have digestive issues. And I'd say, oh, yep, tomorrow my stomach's going to be a little upset. And sure enough, when that day came, I'd have a little bit of upset stomach for an hour or two. It didn't last the whole day. It would just be like this random adjustment, I guess, to your body, and my stomach just wouldn't be happy. And it would just be for this very short period of time. So I could pretty much only attribute it to the medication. But I will say this particular side effect was minor for me. And symptom number 3 is weight gain. So what's funny about low dose naltrexone is that in some cases it is actually used to promote weight loss. And so right before I started taking low dose naltrexone, I kept getting excited thinking I might lose a few pounds because I'm also taking Lexapro, which if you read the internet, it says has a small chance of causing weight gain, but everyone I know who takes it has weight gain from using that medication. So I was hoping that when I started low dose naltrexone, it would actually kind of counteract the Lexapro and actually give me some weight loss. That was not the case. I actually gained 10 pounds while taking low dose naltrexone. And I'm confident in that number now because a few months ago, I actually tried to get off of low dose naltrexone, and I was only off of it for just a little over a month. And in that time, I lost 10 pounds. Super exciting. But then I crashed in my symptoms and I was stuck in bed all day. And so we got back on naltrexone. And then, sure enough, within a few weeks, those 10 pounds popped right back on. And so, at least in my experience, it has caused weight gain, so that may not be a common side effect for the average person, but just again, sharing my experience with it, that it's supposed to cause weight loss, and I put on some more weight. I think at this moment, I've got probably at least 20, 25 pounds on me that is solely from the side effects of medications, which is really frustrating, but oh well, what can you do? At least I'm out of bed. Now, as far as my overall view of naltrexone, I obviously can't speak for every condition out there. I can only speak for myself with chronic fatigue syndrome. But I do feel like it has been very effective in helping me manage my symptoms. And I think the key word there is manage, because this medication is not a cure. It's not going to magically make you 100% better. It just makes life a little bit easier while battling with your condition. And so for me, where my energy is low, this medication, for whatever reason, it helps just kind of, give me more endorphins or boost my energy in some way, and allows me to function to a point where I can do some basic things around the house rather than laying in bed all day. So to me, that's a win. And other than the weight gain, there really hasn't been any long-term side effects that I've been able to pinpoint as of right now. My experience with this medication has actually been overall pretty positive. And when I compare it to several other medications that I've attempted to take during my illness, I would actually say the low dose naltrexone, in terms of the symptoms and the onboarding process and the withdrawal process, I would say it's actually been much more manageable and much more mild than many of the other medications that I have tried. So even in terms of the symptoms I did experience, it feels like it was very minor, which was a breath of fresh air for me. So in conclusion, I have found that low dose naltrexone has been pretty effective in helping me manage my chronic fatigue syndrome. And so if you are battling with CFS or any kind of similar condition and your doctor is considering prescribing low dose naltrexone for you, I would say as long as your doctor's okay with it, it might be worth a shot. It has helped me. It's been a benefit. And so there's always a chance that it could help you too. Obviously, there's no guarantees in life. And unfortunately, sometimes with medications, there is a little bit of a trial and error process of just trying to figure out what works and what doesn't. But in my experience, this one was pretty mild to attempt, and it has actually proven good results. And to any of you specifically battling with chronic fatigue syndrome, I just want you to know that this medication was actually originally prescribed to me by a chronic fatigue specialist at Stanford Medical down in California. So Stanford, if, as many of you know, is one of the top medical facilities in the country, and they had a specific department at this facility that was solely focused on chronic fatigue syndrome, and naltrexone, it was the top medication that they recommended. So just trying to give you a little bit of confidence that if you are battling with chronic fatigue syndrome, there is actually a lot of information coming out about how this may be beneficial to you. So again, talk to your doctor about it if it's something you're interested in. And I hope that if you try it, they will be a benefit to you. And even if you're not fighting chronic fatigue syndrome, but you have one of the conditions I mentioned earlier in the video, maybe still consider bringing up this medication to your doctor and just seeing what they think about it. Oh, and one other thing I should mention about low-dose naltrexone is that you don't typically get it at a regular pharmacy. It's usually something you get from a compound pharmacy, which from what I understand is just a bit more of a specialized pharmacy. It's a higher tier than like your Walgreens or your CVS. Just something to note that depending on how close you are to a compound pharmacy, it may be a little bit more of a hassle to get. So there you go. Those are my thoughts on low-dose naltrexone. I hope that this video was an encouragement to you in some way. And again, if you have any thoughts about the medication, I'd love to hear them down below. And you never know if your comment may encourage somebody else. And as always, my friends, thank you so much for spending part of your day here with me. Please take care of yourselves. God bless. And we will see you in the next one. Take care.